that what people describe as It's a Wonderful Life is not most of the movie, right? But if you say to somebody like, hey, describe It's a Wonderful Life to me, they're like, well, there's this angel, and this angel catches George Bailey on the bridge and then shows him what life would be like without him. And then he has a change of heart. Hey, blah, 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 blah. That's like the last 20%, maybe 25%. Most of the movie is straight up abuse porn, right? You're introduced to this guy who's like, I've got these huge dreams and I'm a kid and I'm doing great things for people. I save a druggist and I save my brother's life and I got big dreams. And then it's just like, no, you don't get to do anything and your life is terrible. And sure, you marry this girl, but you never get to fulfill your dreams. And here's just abuse. And then like an hour and 15 minutes into the movie, he's like, I kill myself. It's like the whole movie is just setting the stage for the payoff of that 15 minutes of let's revisit the things you saw. And now they're not bad. Oh, they're worse, right? Like the whole thing is just like, this person's life sucks. It's almost hard to take after a while because you're like waiting for a good thing to happen and nothing good happens. However, also, everybody else is enabling this terribleness around him. Let's start with the people of Bedford Falls. These people are emotional abusers. These are awful people. Like, these people know what George Bailey is going through. He's loud about it, as you could tell from our impressions of him earlier. Not a quiet dude. He wears his heart on his sleeve. He's just constantly like, "Oh, life is terrible. Everything's terrible. Why are you doing this to me?" And like, let's take the run on the bank scene, right? Like, he's about to go on his honeymoon. He marries Mary. This is the last good thing that happens to him the whole movie until the end, by the way. He marries Mary. He's got all this money for his honeymoon. He's like, I'm finally going to see the world. So he's super happy. And then there's a run on the bank. And everybody who shows up to the bank are his friends, right? They're supposed to be the people who know about it. They know he just got married. This is like wedding night stuff. And they're like, give me my money. And he's like, I'm about to go on my honeymoon. And they're like, no, give me my money now. Like, we're friends. We don't know. Give me my money now. He takes all of his personal money and gives it to him. It's seen as like this kind gesture. This is people he's grown up with, who he's known his entire life. Right after his wedding, taking his honeymoon money. They know that this is what's happening. And they're just like, well, I needed my money. Thanks, buddy. And then they don't even say thanks, buddy. I take that back. They're just like, money, this is mine now, right? And then he's never able to go on his honeymoon. And then people just go about their business, right? Like, these are terrible people. And this happens from birth, right? Like, even when he saves the druggist's life, like, the druggist puts the poison in the pills on accident because he's old. And then he's just like, you put the poison in the pills. And he boxes his ears. He like grabs him by the ears, like, ah! Right? And like, then afterwards, he's like, oh, thank God you saved me. I'm waiting for it. I'm sorry. Right? Like, he's beat up this kid. And his brother is the worst of all, right? Like, he saves his brother. He like loses hearing in one ear because he saves his brother from drowning in the ice. And then his brother's like, hey, don't worry, George. You just have to look out for the savings loan for a little bit. Just give me some money so I can go to college. And I'm going to come right back. I'm going to take this over and you're going to have everything. Comes back. He's like, here's my new wife. And I'm going to go work for her dad. So you stay at the savings and loan. I hope you're enjoying it and see you later. It's like, he gave him the chance to leave. He gave him college. He became this all-star football player. And he just leaves. And then he goes to war and becomes he knew the deal and he broke his promise. George didn't even say anything. It was just like, oh, this sucks. My life sucks. Right? Like, he could have at least said, like, you really screwed me. Right? I feel like an enlightened 21st century man at this point would be like, brother, you screwed me on this. You're going to have to like put on your daddy pants for a second and come work at this thing for a bit. Tell your father-in-law that you need to take a hiatus because I did this for you. None of that. Everybody's just beating up on him the whole time. No acknowledgement whatsoever of any of the sacrifices George makes. Also, though, I can't let George off the hook for this. He's a little ungrateful for his life that he has, right? Like, we all have big dreams when we're young, right? Like, I wanted to be a famous comedian. I am doing podcasts now. There's a little bit of a, no offense to the podcast, but there's a little bit of a disparity there, right? George, yeah, he wanted to see the world. He wanted to like do all these huge things, like good, great. But look at what he does have, right? Like, yes, he moves into an abandoned house. That thing's freaking huge, right? LA prices, that's a 2.5 milli right there. He's doing okay. It's drafty. Get over it, man. You can fix that. You can fix drafts, right? Put up some plastic sheeting, get out a hammer. Like you fix, like he's really mad about this knob on the railing that keeps falling off. You can fix a knob on a railing. Like
that is a tropiest trope of all broken houseware. I mean, that's been done in the Money Pit. That's been done here. That's been done 80 million. I thought of that. I mean, obviously, this was the pioneer probably for that broken knob, but I go, oh my God, this has been beaten to death, and this is probably the genesis of it.
It's got to be, right? And even back
what was
then,
the movie where he cuts it off with a chainsaw?
Oh, Christmas Vacation.
Yeah,
Christmas
totally.
Vacation. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that was a nice little homage. I appreciate that, but this one, it's like, it's not the end of the world. Like a nail will do. There's no crazy glue back then, but like this is not a hard problem. Like squeaky stairs. Like I'm not great at home repair. A squeaky stair is like you take out the squeaky bits. You fortify a little bit. Like this is like a 30-minute fix, right? And he is like, and especially when his life starts going poorly, he's like straight up almost abusive to his family. It gets like scary for a second. Like the kids are like, Daddy's home. Daddy, I'm so excited. He's like, get out of my way. Oh, my life is terrible. Like, oh, leave Daddy alone. He's not okay. It's like, get out of the house. This guy is not okay. Like, you got to have a little appreciation. I've got 2 kids and a wife. I'm not always super happy when I go home. I don't go nuclear. You choke it down a little bit. That's part of being an adult. You choke it down a little bit. You move on. Like, yeah, you got a job that's unfulfilling. Join the club, right? It's not a lot of people. It's called work for a reason, right? We all don't get to be like skyscraper builders like he wanted to be. It's okay. Move on, right? Now let's get to the.
I was going to say, as I believe Ted Knight said in Caddyshack, well, the world needs ditch diggers too, you know.
Right, totally. And he's not a ditch digger. He's does a fine job, right? He's like going in. He's like moving money from one place to another. Middle class. His kids are clothed. They're eating. Like your big complaint is a drafty house. Come on. That's fixable. It's a huge house. Who cares if it's drafty? Fix it. Fix the draft, right? Let's get into the most egregious part, though, which is the part everybody knows the movie for. First of all, let's get to the Clarence of it all. Clarence, the angel. He's introduced in the movie at the very beginning as an angel second class. Let's unpack that for a second. This is ostensibly means there's a heaven, right? There's an angel. You've done good works in your life. You get promoted. And then you also have to like get promoted within heaven. Like you die and live a good life. And then you get another job where you're like bottom of the totem pole, thousands of years of helping people. And you know what? Maybe you'll get wings and we'll stop calling you second class. Like this is eternity. Heaven and eternity has jobs. It reminds me of like I was watching with my 2.5-year-old daughter the other day, Coco, and like the main bad guy in it. It's a great movie. It's one of my favorite Pixar's. But the bad guy in it has bodyguards, and the toll bridge over to life has a toll booth person who doesn't get to go out in Dia de los Muertos because they're working the toll booth. Like this is somebody who hasn't gone to the final death, but they're still working the toll booth. What's this hierarchy? Like, what's this hierarchy with Clarence? Who decided this? Is God saying like, I made to heaven, get a job? I don't consider that to be a good heaven. I think that he's in a lousy heaven. Like then let's talk about the Potterville mirror world a little bit, right? So in the Potterverse, the Potterverse is I guess we'll call it now because I slipped into the Potterverse and I like it. Like the logic all follows pretty well, right? All it is like we've seen this part of the story before. There's the setups and the thing, and then the payoff in the alternate world is like everything's worse. It's Back to the Future 2, Biff Tannen's Trump world, right? But like in this one, everything makes sense except for Mary, right? So Mary is this beautiful woman, sought after, super kind, goes to college, right? Because in the first world, in the Baileyverse, She goes to college, they meet when she comes back, and then they have this life. So she's gone to college in the Potterverse, and then she becomes a spinster who works at a library who like, this is just to be around kids because I couldn't have my, like, someone would have married her. Like the idea of this one and only thing, and I feel like it's a very like patriarchal 1930s way of looking at the world, which is like, well, if I didn't exist, my wife would be miserable. It's like, she would have found someone else, 50-50 chance it would have been better, right? So of course you can't put that in a movie. It's true though.
And now she had to memorize the Dewey Decimal System. She's fucked.
Totally, yeah. And she's got to work with books all day, which is like the nightmare. And the other one, all she has is a husband that yells at her that she dotes on day and night.
You know what? You know what? Books don't yell at you.
That's true. Books are mostly very, very kind. But yeah, it seems like the spinster story in it all